Thanks for taking the time in your diary to join our site visit today with our 2021 Signature Grant finalist, Free to Feed. I'm Fiona Reid. I'm a member of the Melbourne Women's Fund Grants Committee. Before we begin, I invite you to join me in the spirit of reconciliation for an acknowledgement of country. Melbourne Women's Fund sincerely acknowledges Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples as First Australians and traditional custodians of our country. We recognise and value their continuous connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respects to elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. Thank you. Before we meet Free to Feed, there's just a couple of housekeeping items to help you get the most out of your visit today. Attendees will be muted throughout. However, you can click on the Q&A button at the bottom of the webinar screen to submit a question at any time. They will be answered towards the end of the visit. You can use the chat function at any time to make general comments or to chat with other attendees. This meeting will be recorded so we can share with Melbourne Women Fund members and others who could not be with us today. So let me begin with an introduction to Free to Feed. We are so fortunate to have the opportunity for in-depth experience with our finalists. I'm pleased to provide a brief overview of Free to Feed's application. The activity seeking support is titled Commercial Cooking Training and Employment for Refugee Women and falls within Melbourne Women's Fund's membership's 2021 focus area of employment and economic empowerment. This project aims to enhance the financial security, employment readiness, and personal and social well-being for 18 refugee women with a passion for cooking. I'm now pleased to introduce Free to Feed's CEO, Loretta Bolleton, and Program Manager, Kathy Scher. Thanks, Loretta and Kathy.
Thank you so much. We feel warmly welcomed, and I only wish that we were together sharing a cup of tea during this tour, but we'll make do. I'll kick off. So it's really great to be here with you all. So I'm Loretta Bolleton. I'm the child of new migrants. I'm a mother, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Free to Feed. And I'm a wee bit nervous this morning. So Free to Feed is a social enterprise that empowers people seeking asylum and refugees through the delivery of shared food experiences. So I founded Free to Feed in 2015, so 6 years ago, in response to the challenges that I was hearing on the front line of working with people seeking asylum. So my clients were new arrivals who had all fled persecution and who were super lonely and isolated, and for so many of whom the big NGO I was working with was unable to sort of pivot their work to be able to target the support to directly where it was needed. Their vulnerability and isolation felt really contrary and contrasting to the incredible skills, personal histories, stories, and knowledge that they had and that they shared with me in caring for their communities and families and making that big journey to Australia for safety. And also cooking beautiful food. So during my work, you know, and part of my daily work here at Free to Feed is that I get to connect with people. And during my home visits as a caseworker for a big NGO, I remember going out to visit the Afghan community in particular, where I was invited so generously into people's homes. They would make me very sweet tea, ask me to remove my shoes, and we would sit cross-legged on luxurious carpets where in front of me they would place abundant feasts, jeweled rice and smoky barbecued meats and dishes that were so elegantly decorated. And I knew that there were rich histories and talents right there that we could nurture directly if we could create the safe spaces to do so. So in 2015, I quit my job. Probably not the wisest thing that I've done, but I'm happy I did. And I re-engaged with my clients outside of the NGO and started running cooking classes in borrowed cafes. And what I saw is people seeking asylum for the first time in their history in Australia, taking centre stage and being empowered leaders and in charge. And from here, Free to Feed was born. So even though we've expanded and grown in many ways, and Kathy and I will show you some of that in this tour today, I think 6 years on, we still today celebrate and nurture their incredible skills and knowledge and talent in food. Our work now is realised through several fully fledged programs that are grounded in providing hands-on work experience and are research validated. And we're pretty proud to be tracking the wages that we're sending into the refugee community too. And we're on about $630,000 and about 25,000 hours of paid training and employment. You know, we've also created a model here in a space at Free to Feed that brings the community along too. So that's a big part of our work. Over 30,000 people have been impacted. So the 18 women that we're hoping to support through this project, you know, not only will they get the dignity of paid work and employment and training opportunities, but they'll be heard and seen by thousands of community members in 2022. The ripple effect of our work is that members of the community will be engaged in cultural exchange and have a first-hand connection with people seeking asylum. Start, you know, tasting new cuisines and starting conversations, a truly grassroots movement, which I'm pretty proud of. These women are also the breadwinners, they're role models for their own communities, and the projected additional family members, you know, over 30 children and partners will also be touched by this work. So before I throw to Kathy, I just wanted to highlight just the little space that I'm in now. So this space is, and this space at Free to Feed is so cherished by the women in the refugee community. It's been one of the only spaces that they could lawfully attend to come to work over the last 18 months. There's cozy nooks, a counselling room, abundant piles of cookbooks that they flick through and chat about. And just behind me, there's a photo wall with some of the vibrant and gorgeous alumni that sit proudly in our community. In May, before we got to, you know, go back into lockdown, we managed to have a community party here. And gosh, if only we could have been touring on that night. There were women and children, and they were dancing and to tunes from Colombia to Iraq, holding hands, and while their children safely played together in this space. You know, this space and this home that we've created here literally is an antidote to isolation. It's so safe, and I feel so privileged to witness the connections that that happen here at Free to Feed. I'll throw to Kathy, who can tell you a little bit about the purpose of the project and a little bit about what we're seeing on the ground.
Thanks, Loretta. Even though I work here and live and breathe, just hearing the description of the work and the description of the spaces feels, yeah, very privileged to do this work. But yes, so my name's Kathy. I've got a background in mental health as a mental health nurse. I've done a master's in mental health science, which gives me the knowledge and skills and to be able to research validated models of health that look at social determinants and kind of cultural and global histories, and how we can interweave this into our programs to make them strong, sustained and meaningful short, medium and long-term outcomes. So I'm just going to speak a wee bit about this project in particular, and featuring some of our other programs. So if we look for a little bit to the purpose of the project, which Loretta indicated too, we look to where we are now and the need has never been higher. Given the high rates of unemployment, the impact of COVID, the increased incidence of domestic and family violence, less poor employment opportunities, the tendency for our cohort to have insecure work creates the impetus for strong employment pathways and considered culturally safe and culturally humble environments. A major hurdle that we face is simply to try and meet as much of the need as we possibly can. In terms of our cohort, and the kind of where we're positioned as a city, we have quite a complex level of need. We've got the chronic social outcomes from our community members that arrived to Australia by boat in 2013, 2014. We've got the kind of layered issues of the ongoing arrivals of the Tamil communities, and also obviously the recent arrivals of the Afghan community. So we're working to try and be dynamic, responsive, smart, and to provide really safe spaces for our participants. So every year we get to work with a fresh group of wonderful, diverse women and their children and their families, and try and provide meaningful and dynamic experiences to their needs and their strengths and the different languages that they speak, and their version of the best Kibe, or the best Tachin. So we know that for our participants tell us, and we see through our impact measurement, which I'll talk to a bit later on, that work is life-changing. It provides financial income, it provides the essentials of life, it allows self-determination and legacy, safety, empowerment, all things that are core essential human needs that also give dignity, and I think make Melbourne a more integrated and lively place. So we have, in consideration of this, and in consideration of global trends and all the research that's popping up all over the world, we've designed a few program streams, which I'll speak to. One of those is our Leadership Empowerment and Community Program. So this offers paid training and soft skills like self-care and media training, leadership and advocacy to support our participants in their own leadership journeys. They then work with our specialists and compassionate chef trainers that transform their kind of generational recipes into grams and milliliters, and we turn those into cooking classes where all of the public comes in and shares our spaces and really imbibes and embodies that cultural expression. So that program runs for 9 months, and it is very, very fun. The program in our application, which Fiona mentioned, is our commercial cooking and training program. So this program application has strong employment logic, which is based off some work in the UK, where our participants gain technical and soft employment skills through working in a year in our buzzing commercial kitchen. This is complemented also by a strong partnership with Box Hill, where our participants receive a free Cert 3 in commercial cookery. This partnership means that we can broaden some of the eligibility criteria and have more of our women have the confidence to navigate TAFEs and more Australian institutions, as well as have accredited training and local skills. Our participants also, within this program, they receive support from myself, so mental health and social work support, as well as community access. We also deliver specific employment pathways coaching, where we develop employment plans and goal setting exercises to help them transition meaningfully into their next step. This partnership with Box Hill has also enabled us to move into the pre-employment space, which is very exciting and very appropriate. This means that when participants, when interested women come to us, we can assess them. We use the social determinants of health model to assess their needs and where they're at and where might be the best place for them within our program. This means that we do a 10-week pre-employment space with opportunity for paid work, and also opportunity to transition either into our employment program or into many other opportunities, as well as staying in our community. This pre-employment space means that we'll be able to impact a further 60 people with the conditions and tools to thrive. So who are these programs for? These programs are for our women that have recently arrived, that have a refugee experience or identify seeking asylum. Our women come to us with a very intersectional vulnerability, a high frequency of family violence, high frequency of single parenting, of women trying to rebuild their lives and keep their children and keep their families safe, as well as also connect to their amazing experience all over the world, whether that's being a teacher or a journalist or an architect, trying to kind of validate and embody all parts of themselves as they are settling and building their lives here. We also kind of look to the current environment here and navigating a Western medical system with vaccinations and moving into safety and moving in this world where the media likes to remind us that we're not so safe all the times, and so we kind of bring the community support in to hold them in that space. At any given point, 90% of our program participants are women, and for this program, the commercial cooking program, we're looking to engage exclusively with women for this program. Yeah. So, well, I think we'll speak to some questions at the end, but we've got a lovely feature from one of our participants, Taebe, that I'll just, that I'd love to introduce you to, and she can talk a bit about her first-hand experience. So I'll be right back.
You can see behind there where Kathy's sitting is our famous spice wall. So I think someone counted and there were over 100 different spices represented there. Lots of unique blends from all over the world, and so almost like going on a tour of Free to Feed's of our history. So that's a special second space.
So this is beautiful Taebe. She almost needs no introduction around here. She's one of our absolute superstars. She's a trained architect, beautiful children, a beautiful dog, and is one of the most competent, capable, brilliant women I've ever met.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Do you want to talk? Oh, sorry, but do you want to talk about your experience at how you found Free to Feed and how you found your experience in our program so far?
I just want to say hi to everyone. Hi, Loretta. Good to see you. And yeah, just at 2012, we decided to migrate to Australia. It was like end of December, and you know, the government stalled all the visa, all the boat. We came as asylum seeker, and it was very difficult experience. But I was a bit nervous. I was, you know, the first few years, it was very challenging, very hard for us, especially for me and the kids, because, you know, we've been through lots of difficulty, you know, the language barrier, and, you know, lots of challenging with visa and everything. So after that, you know, I've been a few years homesick, and I couldn't do anything. But after like few years, I've decided to do, you know, some courses, find a job, but it was very difficult finding a job, and it was very difficult to, you know, I've just, I study architect at Iran, but it's never chance even to get a small job, yeah, or like work for a few hours at, you know, anywhere. So I create a resume, but no one accepted us as an asylum seeker, and with no knowing anyone at Australia. But I was so lucky to through some agency finding Free to Feed. But you know, it was my first experience of paying job, and you know, it was so nice to finding a job, to stay on your feet, and you know, have like some money, some income, and it was so great to be like, you know, as I have been working 2 years here as a cooking instructor. You know, I've been moving around the kitchen, doing lots of, you know, getting lots of role at the, you know, at Free to Feed, but you know, always being flexible with me, and you know, because I have 2 children and I'm a single mom now, and they know I'm facing lots of difficulties, so it's so good, and it's so good to be here, and you know, being accepted with this lovely women around, and yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All my experience. Yeah, I've been through lots of trauma, difficulty, but you know, being accepted here, it's the most beautiful things in my life.
Thank you so much, Tay, and Kathy also. Tay, it's a privilege to work with you, and I think I should, you know, we're super proud of you, and you know, looking at more ways to work with you in 2022. For those that are sort of tuning in, Tay's going to be learning some admin and customer experience stuff behind the scenes as well. So that's pretty exciting to really work and build alongside you. So thank you so much for joining our little tour. I thought we might go through a little tour of our commercial kitchen just to kind of get up and moving. Really appreciate it, Kathy and Taya Bear. Just going to switch to another video. Can everyone? Can everyone see me on this video here now? Yes. Okay, great. All right. So, as I said before, this is our proud photo wall, and I'll take you guys just through the space. Everyone said, "Oh, hide the boxes, hide the boxes." But actually, I thought we've had women working in our kitchen while classes have been off. They've been packing all of these spice kits and working alongside each other to send nationally, which is amazing to have that continuity of work going. So I won't hide the boxes. I'll show them because they're messy, but they're meaningful. Okay. We'll go and visit a couple of the women that are in our kitchen. You can turn it around so you can.
I don't know how to.
Sec. Oops. There we go. Hello. Oh, I'll put a mask on. Okay. So this is Free to Feed's commercial kitchen, and this will be the grounds of where we will run the CCT program that we're sharing with you guys. You know, hopefully over the next few weeks, as we come out of COVID lockdown, we'll start to see a lot more participants in our kitchen. Who have we got here? What's going on?
Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm one of the chef trainers here at Free to Feed. And today I'm working with Evia, one of our lovely participants.
Hello, Evia. I promised Evia that we wouldn't ask her to say much, but we will have a quick look at what you're doing. What are you guys up to today?
So we're making dolma for one of our upcoming catering jobs that's going out tomorrow.
Amazing.
And I've had a busy morning with Evia baking lots of Syrian treats, which you can see down
Oh, let's
there.
go have a look. Thank you, Evia. Okay. So I think we'll highlight this beautiful plate of beautiful treats here, and it just to give some context. So Evia's actually been working behind the scenes with a really well esteemed chef in Melbourne. And as a professional development opportunity for her, they've been exchanging recipes, and in a couple of weeks' time, now that we can dine together again, Evia will actually run a live ticketed event with this established chef, showcasing her food and all of the recipes and the menu that they've worked on together. So it's one of these kind of unique professional development opportunities that we offer through the CCT program. I might go back to my computer for the next section. Okay. Goodness gracious. I feel like I'm on a film set. Thank you for coming on the tour of the kitchen with me. Before we, I guess, create more space for questions, I just wanted to touch a little bit on the just why we're seeking funding for this project. The good news is we've established a social enterprise that can make a contribution towards doing this really, really important work. So we're hoping to make a contribution of $86,000 towards this project, as well as making a commitment to cover the wages of people seeking asylum that will be employed in our program and doing meaningful work. And we do this through catering and through ticket sales. However, the level of support that's required for women who are experiencing such high level of need and vulnerability is far greater than our cooking school tickets can cover. The level of support and training is quite frankly unenterprising and not able to be generated through those ticket sales. And this includes our wraparound support, our trauma-informed program that Kathy's talked to you about, and the important roles that go towards making that happen, such as our program manager, our junior social worker, and the lived experience community organiser. So someone with lived experience who helps the women in delivering some of the training that we will do in the pre-employment and is just a role model and a source of support. We strive as much as we can to create sustainability in the activities that we do, but we do recognise that bringing and uplifting the community who have experienced intense barriers to entering the employment ecosystem is a challenge that we can't do alone. The really great news is in the future that we are seeing a slight and very slow shift in government in recognising the work that we're doing. And we hope in the future that they will see that the model that we have is a very important and very effective way of providing inclusion for disadvantaged people in training and employment. And we hope with this transition and this recognition in future years that they will help us. We are making a significant investment in taking many of our participants off government support and welfare and into the workforce. So our goal for the future is to create sustainability through not only our own ticket sales and our own enterprise, but leveraging and being recognised for that work. But we're not there yet as a community. Kathy, I might hand over to you just to talk a little bit about, and I know this was one of the questions also, just around how we know this project is a success and how we will measure the impact. You're on mute.
And now I'm not. Perfect. Thank you. And thanks for the talk, Loretta. So looking into measuring impact, I think warrants an understanding of how we view success of the programs and what we're looking for to achieve. And so short-term success, we think for this program is both sustained and holistic. We apply our interventions with individual and community wellbeing in mind, as well as social and financial equity to provide the upfront to bring some stability to allow for some of those higher level needs to be met. For medium and long term, we are looking for active and ongoing community integration with secure and meaningful employment opportunities for our participants and for them to have the tools and confidence to live with self-determination. So that's what we're looking for. We have a highly relational model and built community structures that can sustain ongoing engagement with our community. Things like Eid parties and Diwali and Nowruz, which is a beautiful Persian New Year. So we track these to make sure that that the program is working and also that we can be confident in what we're doing, because we want it to be meaningful as described by our participants. We do monthly financial metrics, which Loretta indicated to earlier. We do quarterly and annual quantitative metrics to track English language confidence, connectedness, loneliness, resettlement factors, and wellbeing. We have qualitative measurement through focus groups with translation support available to allow our participants to communicate their experience in a native tongue, because we know that it's far more effective. And this is done by the Qualitative Impact Protocol. Our data for this year showed that our participants felt significant increase in their mood, their ability to regulate it, increased social connection, increased confidence in their ability to live and work in Australia, as well as ability and confidence that they will achieve their dreams, which is very important. Post-program, we track all of our participants post-program for up to 18 months. This happens quite intuitively due to the highly relational community structure. We have been able to work in a stepwise space with our participants around each of their goals, and all of our participant post-program employment rate is 85% at the moment, and this has been sustained through COVID, which is good. We acknowledge that the Victorian statewide average is 67% of employment for the general population, but we are still striving for 90% for this program that we will, for the commercial cooking training and employment program. So yeah, searching for 90% within 6 weeks of transition. So we are constantly working on refining, having an impact measurement and articulation as sharp as it can be. It's very important to us. Other facts that we have just got some prepared info for you. We've had 797 hours of leadership training for this year. From this year, we've had 128 financial beneficiaries with 240 in total over 6 years of Free to Feed. For this year, we've had 238 community beneficiaries, and this includes things like food aid, attending our community celebration events, and our introduction days, so that 238 people can know that there is a safe space out there for them.
Thank you so much, Kathy, and it gives us great, well, I know for me, great confidence knowing with your background and the scrutiny that you apply in the metrics. Our vision is to support people seeking asylum to access meaningful, trauma-informed, inclusive paid training and employment opportunities because they deserve it. We're here to ensure that they can be seen and they can contribute to the community, because when they were traveling towards us in those rickety boats, that's what they were imagining, living safe and full lives where they could show their talents and be meaningfully connected and safe. Our participants often go on to do inspirational things, and that's just a bonus. They start businesses, they support, they grow their families, they even start social enterprises. It's really amazing to witness. But for me, it's, at the core, it's about resettling with dignity. Thank you so much. That's the end of our touring of the space and sharing what we had in mind. And we're so happy to answer any questions that come up.
Oh, thank you so much. That was inspirational. Thank you to the two of you and to your colleagues in your at your site. I've got a couple of questions. So question is, how do you publicise your catering capability?
That's a great question and a free plug. Thank you. We realize that to do the work that we do need to have a strong market presence, right? It enables that paid employment. We use social media, LinkedIn, and all of the channels. We send out regular newsletters to be able to showcase all of the different foods and packages and opportunities that we have. Our cooking classes are published 3 months in advance, and there's always new instructors, so we try to share that and share their stories to get the community engaged. And we also just reach out to those in our network that have enjoyed and liked our food, and we ask them to support us, to share the message, to bring Free to Feed into their businesses. And it's been a really challenging year because of COVID, but we've tried our hardest, and the community have wrapped around us. When we couldn't do catering at fancy events and whatnot, we did send Brave meals. We send home cooked meals out into the homes all over Melbourne and Victoria. So we're trying our best to get the word out, and we do realize that's an important lever for us in growing and stabilizing the work that we're doing.
Thank you. So my next question is, how will the program make up the funding gap? So between what you need and what you've got at the moment.
Yeah, I really appreciate that question, and it did provoke me to go back through and have a look. And in our finalised grant submission, fortunately, we were able to get a little bit of support from a couple of other foundations, which is very significant and important, and helps us towards covering some of those chef trainer roles. And Free to Feed will also make a contribution that has been baselined off what we have been able to do year on year in our end of financial year fundraising. So with those two confirmed funding, if we are fortunate enough to be selected for the Melbourne Women's Fund grant, we should be able to run the program in 2022 without any funding gap.
Thank you. And my last question is this program exclusively for women?
Kathy, would you like to jump in there?
Yeah, I would love to. Yes, it is. This program is specifically for women. We have a host of some other offerings which are open to any identified gender, but this program we're seeking funding for will specifically be a women's space, which is so special.
Excellent. So that's, sorry, go on, Loretta.
I was going to say, and I think naturally, given the work that we do and the environments that we create, all of our trainers, all of our chefs employed. In fact, 98% of our staff, we're all women, identify as women, and so we naturally are, in a very strong position to support that environment that's safe.
I've got a question here. So the question is, thank you for the wonderful tour and information presentations. Could you elaborate about the Box Hill TAFE collaboration? Do they your space?
Yeah, I can take this one. We have had such a wonderful experience with Box Hill. They really are seeking to deliver meaningful work, and they acknowledge and understand that our participants will likely feel more safe in our buildings in a space where they have these range of experiences. So they come to us. We have a thoughtful trainer that's worked with diverse populations that comes to us every Monday for a month. We have a translator on site, and he works meaningfully and at an appropriate pace with our participants. This model will be replicated for our pre-employment programs as well. It'll all be done in our chairs in our buildings where participants go to work and come and learn, and just what that means for that sense of safety, what it means for your ability to learn. We know that that's so much higher, so it's something we're really grateful to have.
And just to confirm, what qualification do the participants get at the end of the Box Hill TAFE experience?
Yeah, so there's a certificate 3 in commercial cookery, and there's also a pre-employment certificate in job readiness.
Fantastic. Now, I've just got something else has just come up. No, that's not a question. Are there any other comments you want to make before we wrap up?
Thank you so much. It just reminded me the power of having visitors in this space and being able to know the work that we do and just seeing it in action rather than seeing it on a paper. So, thank you so much. We feel, it's lovely as much as it was nerve-wracking. Thank you for making it as comfortable as possible and allowing us to get the word out.
Yeah, and just to see, personally, sorry to interrupt you, Anna, but just seeing the familiarity with the Melbourne Women's Fund is just amazing. It's such a unique structure and very powerful, and I just loved learning from you all through it.
I am going to just check on the questions. So I've got one. I don't know if this is a question. I think this is a comment. Thank you, Free to Feed. You are our very first virtual site visit ever. Being the first is always nerve-wracking. You've done a great job. Thanks to you, me, and all the other Melbourne Women Fund for making this possible. It's no small effort. Yeah, I think that's absolutely well said, and absolutely thank you to Loretta and Kathy for being the first cabs off the rank. And it's been great to hear about your organisation. So there aren't any more comments now, so I think we can wrap up. So thanks again for introducing us to your team. But before we go, I'd just like to remind the people on the call that the Melbourne Women's Fund Information Night video, which is information about Free to Feed and all the other 2021 finalists, is now available on our website. And due to the continuing uncertainty around how we go and we move out of lockdown, the grant award celebration will be fully virtual, to be held on Thursday, the 18th of November. So please save the date. And thanks again, Free to Feed, Loretta and Kathy, for that great and insightful presentation, and what a great place. So look forward to seeing you on the 18th.